All right, welcome in everybody. What Targeted Tuesday, right? This is a couple things that Targeted Tuesday means to me. First and foremost, it's your target audience, who's your ideal customer, but also targeting, meaning are we on track? Are we setting goals? And are we setting effective goals? So that's what I wanted to talk with you guys about today. So again, if you were tuned in live, there we go. Good afternoon, Aaron, says Chuck. Thank you for being here, Chuck. Yeah, so unfortunately, those don't come through on StreamYard anymore. So I'm gonna have to keep up here. But yes, Rena, catching you live. Okay, excellent. So, um, am I on screen though? Because it's not catching up here on what I'm seeing. But there we go. Okay, so it's a little slow. Okay, okay, we're good. Love it, love it, love it. I'm gonna keep going. Sorry, new stuff, trying new things. So let's see if we can get this added in here. And so let's start with talking about what is a goal getter. All right, and curious what that means to you. What does a goal getter mean to you? And here's the deal. Being a goal getter is about having effective goals. And an effective goal is one that is going to feel like a magnet, right? It's going to push us up against or outside of our comfort zone far enough that we actually have growth, but it's not so big and so scary that we just can't believe it's possible. So we have to find that happy medium. Now, most people set their goals too low and then they end up hitting them and they go, gosh, could I have done more? Right. And then they start questioning themselves in that way. So it's always best to dream as big as you can and then figure out ways to believe that it's possible. But an effective goal has to align with your purpose and your reason. Because if it does not, no matter how many smart goals and yada yada yada, all the things, all the tools we do, if your goal is not aligned with your purpose, with who you are, what you were put on this earth to do, you will figure out a way to self-sabotage it, right? And I've experienced that, I've lived that, I've done that to myself many many times. And so first and foremost, our goals need to be something that is aligned with our purpose. So let's talk about then once you have that, right? So I'm curious if anybody here has their goal, right? Has their goal for the year, for example. What are you trying to accomplish this year? And the first half of my year was to create and plan and execute an in-person event, which is coming up here in June. So that's progressing along. My bigger goal for the year is my goal is to have about 100 people that have been involved in an our success group powered mastermind. I have a few other goals that I'm working on too, but that's the main one that I'm focusing on. And so doing things, collaborating with people, things like that. Right. So that's my goal. I'm curious what your goal is. And with that being said, as you guys are anybody that is tuned in live, or if you're catching the replay, go ahead and put your comments in here. But what is your goal? What is your number one goal? Now, here's the other side of that, right? Like I keep asking you, what is your goal? It, and we'll talk about how we're gonna get there, but don't overthink it, right? What's your gut telling you? Where do you think you need to be, right? Is it a money goal? Is it putting my time back? Is it organizing my business? Is it, whatever that might be for you? There's no wrong answers to what your goal is, by the way. So never be ashamed because you feel like it's too small or too big or too this or too that. That's just a label. Your perspective is the only thing that matters. And if you will let go of those labels, then guess what? Your goal is perfect. Right? So when I ask that, if that's what's holding you back from sharing what your goal is, let go of the labels, type it in the comments. Right. And if you don't know, that's okay. Type that in the comments. And the other thing is to then be willing to say, hey, I put my hand up here. I could use a little help. All right. So I'm going to get back to my slides here. And so let's talk about this. Becoming a goal getter. What does that mean? And I'm sorry that that's covered up a little bit, but you get the letter there. Um, First and foremost, we have to look at the difference between a goal setter and a goal getter, right? And and most of you might be going, well, Aaron, the biggest difference is there's a G and an S. All right. and And I would be that smart aleck that would say that. And I have been that smart aleck that would say that. Um, but there are some other key differences because a goal setter, right? I think we're all goal setters. We all have dreams, we all have desires, we all have wishes. And that makes you a goal setter, right? Our brain is a goal setting organism, right? Oh, I see the food, I want it. I see that nice vehicle, I want it. Right? That's goals. We're seeking something that we don't currently have in our possession, right? I want to be happy. I want it. I want this, right? So we're seeking something that we don't have that we want in our possession. A goal getter is the person that actually achieves those things that they want, right? So that's what the difference is from that high level. And so, Rena, thank you for sharing your goal, setting up a new inventory system. I love that. High five. Good job. Okay, so with that being said, let's take a look at some key differences that make a goal setter stand out, or a goal getter stand out, I guess, from a goal setter. So a goal setter, first and foremost, they're typically very vague and open with their goal, right? I want more customers and become better, Rena says. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Rena, for sharing that. So I want it, right. It's very vague. It's very general. It's very, I want to, improve myself. I want to have my business be more successful, right? And all those things are fantastic, but it's very vague and open. And typically we do this because we're overthinking it, right? Oh man, what if I get it wrong? What if I go after the wrong goal? So if I leave it very vague and open, then I can go wherever I want, right? What does that mean? And the other reason is that we're afraid that we aren't going after something that's big enough, right? So we leave it very vague and open. The challenge with that is that a lot of things have to line up. A lot of things have to sort of conspire for you to achieve any sort of real goal. And when things are vague and open, those things aren't going to be able to align for you, right? So if my goal is very vague and open and I share it with somebody, they go, oh, that's neat, Aaron, but they have no idea how they're going to help me, right? So the other side of that is our subconscious brain, the aha moments, right? Your subconscious is going to feel the same way. Being very vague and open means, oh, that's neat, Aaron, but I don't know what to do. So I'm not going to be working on this in your sleep or, when you're in the shower, no aha moments are going to show up, right? So what we need to do to become a goal getter is we need to be very specific. And a lot of times when you hear people talking about specific goals, there's SMART goals, which is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound, I think was what they are. But lots of people do it lots of different ways. It's awesome. I think there's a lot of value in digging that deep into your goal. But I think we can also make this a little more simple. I like simple. The more I can simplify things, the easier it's going to be, right? So how much and by when? How much by when? Very simple. That makes it very specific because I have a how much. I know I have a scale, right? So if my scale is 10, right? I know, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 10. I got there, right? So the how much is very important. And then the by when is also very important because if we don't have the by when, then we take the time, right? Like, so if I have 3 months to get a project done, guess how long it's going to take me? 3 months. But the reality is, if I gave myself a month to do that project, I probably would complete it and it would be just about as good. In fact, I would probably get feedback quicker. And by the time that 3 months rolled around that I would have given myself originally, the project would be way better because now I'd have 2 months of gaining feedback and improving it, right? So if we don't have that by when, we'll just procrastinate. The other part about our brain, its responsibility, especially the subconscious, is to save energy. Right? So any way it can save energy, it will look for that. And if it does not have a specific by when, it's going to go, okay, cool. I know the subconscious is saying this. I know that it's only going to take us this amount of time. So I'm going to procrastinate. I'm going to put things off. I'm going to do other things. I'm going to go watch the Netflix because that doesn't take up a whole lot of my energy. I can just sit there. Oh, and then I'm going to, right? So we have to get very specific and have that by when. Now, here's the other thing about that very specific part, the how much. We tend to want to think about goals as monetary. More often than not, monetary is probably not the big goal. Now, the monetary could be a gauge, right? I want to grow my business because I want to affect more people. I want to be able to put more joy out into the world because of these beautiful projects that I'm making. I want to have people be able to, gain something from my area of greatness, right? And so you can kind of go, yeah. And so that needs, I can see the increase because of the dollar amount, right? But the goal might not be that, right? So it may be how many new customers, or how many existing customers can you grow? How many, for me, it's a lot of times looking at the feedback that I get, how many testimonials, how many people have said that I've been able to help them because my purpose is significance, is creating impact, is that kind of thing, right? So, okay. So there's the first part of it. Here's the next part. A lot of times goal setters have many, many, many goals, right? I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this, right? I mentioned that I have multiple goals, the multiple things that I'm working on, but I have to keep the one thing in mind, right? So it's okay to have many, many goals, but how many are you going to be able to get done in that amount of time, right? And when we have many, many goals, we just focus on one thing, we focus on another thing. We spend more energy switching tasks than we do getting into the nitty gritty of how am I going to achieve this goal, right? So a goal getter, on the other hand, is very, very focused, right? And so that doesn't necessarily, again, mean that you're only doing one goal. It means, what is the most important goal? How do I make the most important thing the most important thing? And then I can work on that. I can feel proud of the accomplishments, feel proud of what I've done on that. And then I can take care of the other things. Then I can work on the other projects, the other goals, right? The things, so I've got business goals. I've got goals with my family. I've got goals for my health, right? So it's okay to have multiple goals, but I need to make sure that I figure out a way to focus at one thing at a time. And a big part of that is saying, okay, what is the number one goal, right? And so maybe it's, what is the number one goal in 2024, right? It could be for you, for me, like I said, I had a number one goal for the first half of the year. And now that I'm getting towards that goal, now it's time to refocus on the bigger goal that was the accomplishment, right? This was just a milestone along the way. And so what is it for you that makes it very, very focused? The way I like to look at this is, if I were to sit down on January 1st, 2025, and have clear vision of the entirety of 2024, what would be the one thing that needs to be accomplished for me to go, that was a good year, right? That was where I wanted to go. I improved, I grew, I got that next step closer, or I achieved what I wanted to achieve, right? What is that one thing? And from there, then again, we can build little things underneath it. We can have some other goals, some other areas, but what's the number one thing? So get very, very focused. The next thing is, goal setters want to take huge leaps, right? We're focused so much on the result. I want to go from brand new business to $1 million business, right? There's nothing saying that that is not possible, that you can't do that, right? So that's not what this is about, but it's about saying, okay, I'm going from zero to $1 million a year. And on day two, I'm going, I didn't get to $1 million a year. I'm a failure, right? We're not going to do that, but we're so focused on the result that we want to take these huge leaps, right? We want the instant gratification. Oh, I've got to 10x my business. Okay, you absolutely can do that, but you got to focus on the process, not the huge leap, not getting from point A to point B. So the goal is supposed to be a magnet, not about the results. So the more you focus on the results or the outcomes, the less likely you are going to be to get there. So the way to overcome this is then to take your big goal, 0 to $1 million a year, right? And say, okay, I need to believe that's possible. So what's the first milestone, right? How can I break that down? Okay, well, first thing I need to start my business, right? So I should probably go get a business license, right? So I start breaking these things down, and then I can say, okay, this is my goal for the week, right? However that works for you. But when you break down those goals, now you're focused on the process. Now you're focused on what you need to do to get from point A to point B, as opposed to just always being focused on point B. All right. Now, the next bit here is a goal setter keeps them hidden. Right? I talked about the fear that shows up. It's too big, it's too small, whatever label. Lots of different fears. I'm not worthy. In OSG Live, we're talking about limiting beliefs right now, and it's those limiting beliefs that hold us back from sharing with others what our goals are. And I understand that, right? There's been times where I've said, okay, am I either not doing enough, or are people going to laugh at me? That's not possible. There's no way you're going to do that, right? All of the worst case scenarios go through your brain. But if you stop yourself when those worst case scenarios show up, can you instead think about all of the best case scenarios, right? Like I've got proof of this, right? If you go out there and you will share with others, you can accomplish. Again, I'm not talking about this book because I want to pat myself on the back and the ego and, oh my gosh, it's so amazing that I wrote a book, right? Like I believe anybody can do this if they want to, and I'm happy to help them if they really want to do that. But I'm super proud of the fact that there is a over 100,000 word book that has the ideas for how to build a business that you love. And this would not have happened, right? I spent 3 years. I really should go back and find out the dates, but it really doesn't matter, to be honest with you. I spent, 2, 3 years talking about it vaguely and doing all the things on the goal setter side. And I wasn't very specific, and I really wasn't sharing it with others. It was just kind of like a thought in the brain. And, nobody's going to believe that I can do this, or they're going to try to steal my idea or whatever. Right. All of those things were showing up. Last year, I finally made the commitment to be a goal getter with this thing, and I started sharing it with others. I started very specifically sharing what my plan was, and that by the end of the year, I was going to have published and have a book that I can hold in my hand. And so when I started doing that, then the things I needed started showing up. I was having a heck of a time really trying to figure out the whole publishing world. It was crazy. It was very difficult to figure out. And I actually random here, right? So this is what happens. This is how these goals start getting achieved. This was totally random experience. I was invited to talk about this idea of the review cycle mindset on a podcast. There was a guy that I had met through actually Podfest, which is a bunch of podcasters that get together, and I met him, and he was looking for somebody to talk about some of the things that I like to talk about. And so I ended up getting on his show. And as we were talking on the show, I said, you know what, I'm going to share. I said, they kind of asked what I had come up in the future. And I said, well, I'm in the middle of writing this book, and my goal is to have 100,000 word book published and ready to be purchased in print, not just a PDF, by the end of the year. Right. And that was that. I shared it. And the podcast was over, and we were doing a little debrief afterwards, and I was talking to him, and his name's Jim. Jim said, so Aaron, how's it going with the book? Do you need any help with it or anything like that? And I said, yeah, to be honest with you, I can't quite figure out how to do this. It seems really complicated. I've got somebody over here telling me this. I'm looking up this. I don't really know. And he says, well, I've got a friend that is actually in the process of setting up a business that is going to help people get their books published. Would you like me to make that connection? And I said, yes. Well, I made a connection with her. We had a great conversation. Everything was going really well. And about 2 weeks later, I got a call from her and said, hey, just wanted to let you know that we're not going to go forward with this business. My husband and I decided that we were called to do something else. And so I just wanted to let you know. And she said, but I really like you. I really think that you've got something that people will get value out of here. And so I don't want to leave you high and dry. So I know all this stuff. if you would like, I'm happy to share, just let me know what specific questions you have. Right. And so at that point, right, I was a little bit bummed because I wasn't going to have a publisher, but then she suggested do this, do this. And it all started falling into place. But it took me then saying, okay, hey, Catherine, I do need some help. I don't understand this. How do I do that? Oh, well, here's the link to go purchase an ISBN number. Oh, you got to make sure that you do this. And here's how to use Kindle Direct Publishing for this, and yada, yada, yada. And so she was there to help me. And it all came from the fact that I shared my goal with others. So with that being said, are you going to share your goal with others? So that is the big difference between a goal setter and a goal getter. Which category do you fall into, right? And and honestly, if you really want to change your business, you really want to make something happen here, right? I'm going to promote it because it was one of my goals. I want to get people out here for Fun Live in June, and so I'm just going to share it really quick here. It's happening on June 7th and 8th out here in O'Fallon, Missouri. And this is going to be game changing. Not only are we going to really refine your goals, but we're going to get into the blueprint on how to achieve them. We're going to make sure that they're aligned with your why. The amount of change, the amount of opportunity that you're going to have to change your business in 2 days. I keep thinking about it and looking at it, and I see it. I mean, I've visualized the 2 days so many times in my brain. I see exactly how it's going to go. It's all laid out, and I'm just blown away. I feel like I'm floating on a cloud sometimes when I'm thinking about it. So if you're not signed up for this yet, please reach out to me. Let me know if there's anything that I can do to help, right? Again, all we got to do is ask, right? If we don't ask, though, we're never going to get there. So don't make any assumptions about anything. Just reach out to me and tell me what's going on, how we can help. Because here's the deal. I know, based on what we've been talking about and thinking about, this is going to be a once in, right? We may have other events and retreats, but to do what we're going to do over these 2 days, right? It's going to be a Herculean effort for me. And I think in the future, we're going to do it a little bit differently. And yes, in the future, it'll be just as powerful, but will probably A, be more expensive, B, be broken up into a longer period of time. So the value that you're going to get for this amount of money that we're charging for this, I've had a lot of people really step up and help out to make it to where we can offer this program at the low price that we're offering at. So if you're going, oh, well, the price isn't that high, it's probably not that much value. Nope. It's probably more value, and probably in fact, I know this is the only time that this program of this magnitude will be for people that aren't OSG members. It's only $795 for the 2 days, and you can make 3 payments of $295. All right, so this is probably a $3,000, $2,500 program, and but we want to get it out there. We want to build that foundation of people that have a business that they love, and then we can take it out to the further masses outside of this group and beyond. And so this is your opportunity. If you haven't signed up yet, reach out to me and let me know if there's anything I can do to help, or just go sign up, osg.link/funlive. Our hotel block, they're holding on to the rooms for us at this special rate, very special rate. And that hotel block is over. They're going to release the rooms back to normal pricing after May 12th. So you've got this week to get signed up. All right. So I'm going to take this off the screen, and I got to go back over here. And yeah, so that's what I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me here. It was quick and hopefully very valuable for you. And hopefully this whole running through StreamYard actually worked and wasn't too bad to go into the group here. So I'm going to go check it out myself and watch the replay. If you are watching the replay, #replay is all you need to do in there if you want, or just comment like it's live. I will jump in there and be replying to comments, and we can have conversations. So anyhow, reach out to me and let me know if there's anything that I can do to help your business and you fall a little bit deeper in love with your business. All right. Everybody have an awesome rest of your day. And I will talk to everybody again very soon.